Hello, this is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintnow.com and one of the top art instructors here on Udemy. So the first thing we're going to do before we get actually drawing manga is we're going to draw and go over an overview of how to draw the basic head. So the basic head in overview is you draw a perfect circle. I recommend to draw a perfect circle that you actually use your whole arm. Don't use your fingers and don't use your wrist. So basically your fingers stay locked, your wrist stays locked, it's your elbow and shoulder that move, and then you get a perfect circle that way. It's just much easier that way. And we're going to go ahead and divide this circle in half and a half again. Then we're going to cut the edges off here and here. And we can just go ahead and erase those edges if you need to. Now if you're having a hard time seeing the lines, what I recommend you doing is always on Udemy, if you're watching any kind of drawing lesson or anything, whether it's on a computer screen or on paper like this, is to go ahead and zoom in, not zoom in, but go full screen, and also make sure that the little icon there in the bottom, you can change the resolution. So I think it's at default at 340, at least it is for me. So make sure you pump that up to like 720 or higher if you have a higher option. But definitely, if you have the 720 option, bump to 720. That'll make everything look much more crisp. And full screen will allow you to see all these lines. So you want to start light. You can also draw like starting with blue pencil, and then you can go over with darker pencil to over your sketch. After you have this, you want to take the length from here to here, and then kind of divide that in half, and then take that length and divide it, and take that half length, and this will be your chin. Then you take this whole length here, from here to here, and divide it in half, which will be a little bit lower than the line we had before. That line will be our eyebrow line. So this is going to be where our eyebrows are. Just kind of put some basic curves in there for now. And our eyes are going to fit on this line here. Half of them on the top, half on the bottom. You want to make sure they're eye length apart, that they're eye width. And so you want to make it to where you have like a half eye on the side, so it's about 5 lengths long and about 8 tall is the length. You kind of want to get a feel for that. Now, if you want to get an exact measurement, what you can do is take the width of this head here and divide it into equal lengths. So you can like maybe divide this in half over here, divide this in half over here, and that will give you like pretty much the middle of the eyes. And then now you have like 4 lengths across, and you need to actually make that an even 5. So anyway, there's different ways you can do it, cut in half. What I recommend doing is to really get these measurements down is my perfect square method I go into in my head course. But for now, since this is a head overview, just know that it's about 5 eyes across. And so you have 1 in the middle, 2, that makes 3, and then half and half on each side, which makes actually only makes 4 eyes across, sorry. About 4 eyes across is what you're going to get for a typical type of comic book type face. Next, we're going to do kind of like rectangles here for the eyes. And in a later lesson, we'll go into more of the overview of the eyes and how to draw eyes, what makes up the mechanics of the eye, and then how to apply that to manga. And as also we're going to go through this basic head and how we apply it to manga. Now some people would draw the nose way down here. With mine, I like to draw the nose at only an eye length down. I'm just going to kind of draw a basic kind of curvature for a nose there for now. And then the mouth, I'm going to fit into this area here, and so I'm going to kind of draw a circle. And to get the basic idea of where the mouth would fit in this particular measurement scheme, is you want more length on the bottom than you want on the top between the nose and the mouth, and then you want the mouth to be width about to the halfway line of the eyes. Draw straight lines coming down. That will be the absolute widest part of the mouth. You can draw a straight line to show where that's going to show the middle of the lips. And to get the overall shape of the head, you want to come down to that halfway line. So first imagine the lines coming straight down, and then you want to come to this halfway line, not the halfway line, but the line of the lip line is what I should have said. The half of the lip line is what I meant. Come down at a slight angle here so that you're not straight, that the lines aren't straight. And then the hairline's going to come up here like so. That is, you take this from the eyes to the top of the head, divide it in half. That's pretty much where you have your hairline. And then from here to here, let's make the chin the width from the eyes. So basically 1 eye width apart will be the chin. And you can actually start this off very angled. So you start your drawing off very angled here, and then we'll start to round it off as we go. Connect these lines for now, like so. And this is, more of a wider faced woman. So if you want her to be more narrow, you just simply take this line and just narrow it down, and then narrow it down to here. And then we have more of a narrow faced woman. So it's really up to you what kind of style face you want. I like this more narrow style. I think it looks better. So I'm going to kind of darken that in, kind of round the chin out a little bit. And I can come in and change all that I want. Now all I have to do is add the features in. But first we'll go ahead and add the hair. I'm going to have the hairline offset like this. Hair comes up a little bit off the skull because the hair has some bounce to it. And I'll go over a refresh of hair too, before we get into actually how to draw hair from manga. So this is the back of the hair. I'm drawing that in first. I'm going to make my neck much thinner than it would normally be. Normally the neck would come out to the to about where the ears connect, and then it's about to the edge of the jaw here, but we're not going to do that because that doesn't look as good for comics or manga. And basically manga is basically a Japanese comic, so that's really all it is. And the reason why the reason why simplification ever came to be, why we ever had these stylized versions of drawing the faces, is one, to try to make them look sexy and cool, and to idealize the face, and then two, it was because you needed shorthand. If you're going to be drawing a bunch of frames, like 100 frames to make just like, a few seconds of film for a cartoon or animation, that is, anime is just the, Japanese animation. So you have American animation, Japanese animation, so cartoons and Japanese cartoons. And so if you want to draw a bunch of frames very quickly, you need to shorthand everything. So everything needs to be simplified. And that's why he came up with these different simplified styles. Same thing with manga. Manga is the Japanese comic book. And so in comic books, if you're drawing a bunch of panels, you need to draw them a more simplified version and not get so realistic and caught up in so many details, because that takes too much time to draw. And you're trying to make money, so you need to draw things very quickly. And so instead of spending 20 hours on a page, you can spend 8 hours or 6 hours, even 5 hours on a page, depending on how fast of a drawer you are. And so for now, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in this with a comic book style, more comic-y style here. But we're going to take these measurements and we're going to show how we can distort them and get manga, because manga is just another type of stylized version. It is a exaggeration and simplification of this basic head here, just as comic book is. I'm going to make the eyes staring off over here to the right. And don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and explain all this, how to actually draw noses and mouths and stuff. But for now, I'm just filling in to show you that if we take this, I'm going to make the bangs come out here. If we take this style, sorry about that, just kind of filling all this in really quick. If we take this style, I'm going to go ahead and flatten my pencil out if I can shade with it. The simplification, we can base everything, manga, comic books, everything is based off the realistic head measurements, and then we just stylize them to get different looks. Right, so I figured just in case you haven't actually watched my head course or my course bundle, which has my head course in it, or you haven't read any books on how to draw the basic idealized head, like something by Loomis or something. So I'm assuming that just in case you don't have any of that knowledge already, so we'll briefly go over all that stuff, and again we're going to go over how to draw the eyes and stuff in more detail later. And I'm going to kind of have the mouth open here, so I'm going to kind of round the lips out like this. I'm going to kind of put a hole showing the mouth is open, leaving some lines broken and open to make it look a little bit cooler and more sexy. Might even have a couple strands coming in here like this, just kind of cover the edge of the face. Maybe have one strand right here covering the eye. But what's common in manga and even in a lot of comics is that when you cover eyes, you leave them there, so the hair is like transparent, so you can still see through the hair and see the eyes underneath. That way you're not like covering the eye. You could choose to cover the eye completely and erase it, but as a stylistic choice, this is something that's done a lot in manga and comics, so it's something you can do. There's really no rules, when it comes to creating different types of art, so just keep that in mind. Right, so there we have it. So if you take that knowledge, so that you have just again, real quick breakdown before we end this particular lesson, which is just an overview of how to draw the human head. You have the circle, divide it in half, both ways, cut the edges off. take the length from here to here, which is half the circle, and duplicate down here. This is typically what you do. Or if you want, you can take half of that and make it shorter if you want a more of a shorter looking face. I like the more shorter looking face. It's up to you what you want. And let's say we're going to come all the way down here to this one, angle it, angle it, angle it, angle it. This is going to be a much more longer, narrow face. And you can still take this, style of face here, and you can put a certain kind of human being in there, and then divide that in half. Then you would add the eyes, being an eye width apart. Then the nose, you'd actually go right to the bottom of the. We're going to add a stylized version here, right to the bottom of that circle we originally created. And we're actually make his eyebrows thick and right up to the eye. I'm doing like a really interesting, I don't know, could be interesting, maybe it's stupid, comic style here, or even a cartoon style. And then we'll just kind of give him a mouth like this with a little bit of a lip. We'll come out, make his chin wider. Oops, I didn't mean to make that line right there. That's not the angle I was going for. Right, so now we have more of a longer kind of style here. But as you can see, with just a quick few strokes of the pencil, we have a quick sketch of a dude. And of course we can always fix this up. And that's more of a longer nose kind of style. So you can see how you can use both of these styles to get different faces out of them. And this face is much smaller than that face in general though. Right, so take this knowledge then, practice it. So if you're not familiar with this, with how to get measurements and stuff, I really recommend doing it and measuring it step by step, and make sure that the head is about 5 eyes apart or 5 eyes wide. You don't want to go more than that. And so I know a common mistake that beginners make is when they're doing the basic part of the eye here, they make that first part too big. And what makes the eye look bigger is actually drawing the eyelid, the eyebrows, and then of course the different shadows that go around the eye, the sock and everything, which is what gives the eye its bigger look. But we'll go more into eyes, noses, and mouths later on, and like what makes up the eye. We'll do a refresher on the eye, nose, and mouth, and then we'll learn how to stylize them in the manga approach. Right, so thank you for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And hey, if you're enjoying this course so far, I'm sure others will too, so feel free to share it on Facebook and stuff. Udemy actually over here on the left-hand side puts a nice little panel that you should be able to see that has Google Plus like, Facebook like, Twitter, and stuff like that. So just click on a couple of those and share the course with your friends, and I'm sure they would enjoy it if you're enjoying it so far. All right, so in the next lesson we'll go into how to take this basic shape of the head and make it different manga style heads, and then we'll go into the actual features and how to plug those features in. And then we'll get into the human figure and how to stylize it to make manga figures, and go through a couple different styles of manga and then different ages. And yeah, so stay tuned.